discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/BG The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and it is that time of year where we're going to talk about the games of the year. And unlike the top 100, top 10 best games, well, there are some games that just did not quite live up to expectation. This is actually the first year we're doing a disappointing list.
We did worst. But
we do worst.
Yeah.
We do top 5 worst, and then we do top 10 best. And this year I had played enough games that I was like, oh, well, we can do disappointing. And there were for me, there were actually quite a few games that I was like, man, that just, it's not a bad game. So my 5 are not inherently bad games.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They're not bad games. They just didn't live up to
the hype. They just didn't work for me. So clearly this is a very subjective list. So if your favorite game in the whole world is on this, then you'll I'm sorry, get better taste.
I think we'll have 2 crossovers.
I think we will have absolutely 0.
Really?
Yeah, no, I really don't. Like 2 in the top 5. I will be very surprised if you've even. Well, I know one of them for sure won't be, but I'll be surprised if you even played the other 4. So I guess we'll see. I'm excited to see what you think are two crossovers.
Yeah.
So I'll get started by cracking open a cold one.
I'm gonna go ahead and crack open mine too, since we're doing it right now. Mm-hmm. Brought to you by
fucking Coke sues me. I'm like, guys, you win. I'll take the video down. Like, I'm sorry. So my number 5, and we don't do like a dishonorable mention or anything. We just do the straight 5. My number 5 actually just made the list because I got the copy, the Kickstarter copy. And the game that it replaced, was Hate. Mm-hmm. Because Hate was disappointing, but I realized that I didn't quite play it up to its full potential with the Chronicle, where you like vie for control, and like a lot of people are like, yeah, just as a skirmish game, it's not the best, but the Chronicle kind of makes, because you upgrade your tribe and all that. Still wasn't my favorite, but at least, God, the miniatures were so good. Yes. But my new number 5 is Coloma. So Coloma was that Western, I think, made by the same company that did Paladins, Architects, and all them. At least it's the same artist. I don't think it's the same company.
Let me look it up while you're doing
it. It looks like it's the same art. So Coloma was kind of it's kind of a Western game of the Coloma City in California, kind of around the Gold Rush era. The reason why it was disappointing was because, like, all the pieces were there, like, for a great game, but in my experience, it was one of those games that ended up being like, this is the way to win. Like, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I guess that was fine. One, the game was extremely, I wouldn't say long, but it was very, very boring. And whenever you look at it, because the sweep of victory from first to last place, and even from first to second, was so grand because of the strategy the one person went for, that I was like, I would never not do that. Same with Crusaders Thy Will Be Done. That game was pretty good, but it's like, I will never not do this strategy because I know that's the surefire way to win. Same here with Coloma. It's at number 5 because it, like I said, it just snuck in there, but because the game is not terrible, and I know it would probably be better with more people. Mm-hmm. But I don't have that luxury all the time. I was more disappointed than anything. Like, not a bad game. Some of the mechanics I actually really liked, but I just don't care for worker placement style games where it's like, well, one, everyone was able to kind of do everything. Didn't really care for that. And it's like, okay, well, I would never not play this way again. So
it is the Raiders of the North Sea guy.
Okay, yeah. So I thought it was the same, but not the same company.
Right.
Different company, same
artist.
Okay.
That Miko or whatever.
Yeah, okay. I thought so, because the certain, like, power cards, I was like, yeah, I'm like,
it's pretty distinct.
I don't like his artwork, but I know some people do. Clearly, art's subjective too.
Sure,
it's not bad. It's so weird. Like, they're weird.
It's unique.
You
can definitely tell
that it was him. That's why I thought it was the same company, because usually he does their games. But that's my number 5, Coloma.
All right, my number 5, I don't think you've ever played. I don't even know if you've played the version of this game that came out first.
Okay.
This is Lanterns, the dice game, or Lanterns Dice. It's got a weird sub name to it, but
I remember seeing Lanterns on tabletop with Will Wheaton.
Well,
years
Lanterns,
ago.
the original, Lanterns, the something festival. I can't remember what it's called.
Chinese festival.
It's a tile laying game.
Yep.
I bought it for my wife when it came out a few years ago, and it's one we still get to the table, you know. And when I was at Origins this last year, they had that was the release of the dice game.
Yep.
So I went through and I played the demo of it and stuff, and there's no point.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it was disappointing, because I was like, okay, it's a dice game. It's going to do something different.
Sure, like
right?
Nations, the dice game to Nations, or Castles of Burgundy, the dice.
It doesn't do anything different. I mean, you're trying to simplify a tile laying game, you know, or whatever. It's like, because in the game, I don't know, have you ever played the regular?
I've never played Lanterns.
You have tiles,
yeah,
and you match colors, and you match colors.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It's like, so why in the hell are you making a dice game version?
That's weird.
So I tried it just to see if it was there, and I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but it's unneeded.
But if you're trying to simply, because that's usually what a dice game is
meant
to do.
Usually
is
it's
simplify.
a simpler version of something.
Weird. That is weird.
But it's not a horrible game, because it still does what it
Lanterns.
does, but it's just not different enough to justify it, you know. And it's plain and simple. That's why it's on here.
Okay.
That
yeah,
deal.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And I'm not sure. You said there's 2 crossover. I'm not even sure. Like, because here's the thing.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Like, so when it comes to disappointing, that's clearly meant to be for the, obviously it's disappointing to me for a variety of reasons, but yeah,
and these may be crossovers going over to your worst,
and they might be.
Maybe these were considered your worst too. I don't know.
Yeah, and because the disappointing to worst, there was a fine line.
Right.
Like, basically, my delineation is just the okay, well, the game was good, so, but I just didn't really care for it. Versus, like, I inherently think this game is bad. You know?
Right.
So my number 4 is really unfortunate, and it's on here because of the company who made the game. And I thought the game was very bog standard, boring, and long, and just tedious. And that's Dead Man's Cabal.
I almost bought that. I almost did a demo for it.
And I backed it on Kickstarter for kind of theme alone, and because Pandasaurus made it. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, it's about, like, necromancers. This game is, I mean, it's not disjointed.
It's abstract, isn't it?
It is. It's, that's a good way of putting it. It's very abstract. And I did a no-run-through review for it. And we just thought it was very boring. Like, we kind of liked the mechanic of, like, you draw in a bag. This is the action I get to do. And then now or not draw from right. It's like, this is the action that I only get to do. And then I'll choose an action that we all get to do. So that was interesting. But it was it was abstract. And I think that must have been the disconnect I had. Because whenever we were talking about it, I'm like, this would have been a phenomenal worker placement. But it wasn't. So, like, a lot of times you're running this track, you're pulling skulls from a bag, and you're like, oh, okay, go in here. And you have these bodies, and the art, I think, was
Wasn't
shitty.
It all black and white?
Yeah,
it was like I mean, there was.
It was like kind of like punk black and white drawings, and you're trying to match like certain like symbols by placing like, okay, like skulls here, or I'm gonna spend skulls to do certain actions, and you're trying to match up like this pentagram symbols to be able to resurrect a body. And theme was just fucking. I mean, theme was what sold me on it, and I just thought. This was one of those, like, I could see this going to worse. But no, the game worked out, and I'm more sad than mad that the game's bad. Because Pandasaurus, Dinosaur Island. I'm like, what went wrong here? Like, and I see no one talking about it. It took me forever to sell the game. And I was like, at some point, I was like, just fucking pay for shipping. I'll give it to you. So, that's my number 4. The game, I mean, if you're into abstract, and I'm not the biggest abstract fan, but it was just sad to play, but I guess it kind of worked. So that's my number 4, Dead Man's Cabal.
My number 4 is on this list. The game is okay, but I wanted it to be better because of the world it takes place in.
Okay.
Because I'm such a fan of this world.
Okay.
Role Player was the world.
Lockup. Yes, thank you.
I didn't back. I was one I was backing on Kickstarter, and then I pulled out.
Yeah.
I did because I was like, it just doesn't. I was hesitant, and then I got it.
Yep, I got it at
a year ago, or maybe less than a year ago. I can't remember how much.
I think it came out in 2019.
Yeah, I got it. I got it a few months after it got released.
Sure.
Retail.
Okay.
So, but anyway, and played it, and it like I said, it was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad game. It's just I wanted more with that world.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes me more wanting that role player adventures to come out.
Or hell, I'll take the Fiends of
something
now.
to get outside of that deal, because
like I like that he's doing games in that world and making like the world, like basically your rip off D&D.
Right.
So I like that, because Lockup would have been a really good one for this list. But like I think the tension of kind of the placement of like where you're going, that was probably the best part of the whole game. But ultimately, yeah, it was just kind of like a, oh, lucky me, turn order kind of thing, and I'm gonna buy this, this item and get a bunch of points, and it's like, all right, well, I don't know what the fuck.
I mean, like I said, I would. It's not like I would never play it again.
Sure.
I'll play it.
That's actually a good point.
I actually still own it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I sold
just,
mine. That's actually a good point. All 5 of these games, like that's another distinction from disappointing to worse, is like all 5 of these games, someone's like, hey, do you want to play? I'd probably be like, sure, if there was really nothing else to go do. The worst, it's like, don't ever talk to me again for offering me that trash.
Yeah. I think I'd be good.
So yeah, that's Lockup's a good choice, and I mean I think it's gonna be more for playstyle than anything. Yeah, did it have a solo variant? No,
it did.
Really?
Yep. I haven't played it solo though. That's weird. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I need to try the solo variant, because I always do.
I can't imagine that game being that good solo. And also, yeah, like you said, the world, because you expect Thunderworks role player, you're like, oh, cool, we're Prison Break, but apparently we can all run around the prison and make weapons.
It was all the kobolds too. Race. I'm like,
yeah.
They could have went.
Yeah, they could have made it a little bit more interesting. That's a good one.
I don't know. It's like I said. Okay, it's fine, but
yeah. So my number 3 is like this kind of really should have been my number 1 in terms of just grand scope of this game. This game is U-Boot or U-Boot.
Yeah. That would have been on mine if I would have played it.
You would never have played this game. Like this game was such the submarine simulator that it was mind-boggling. How I mean, it does a fantastic job of what it's meant to do, but it's such a niche, like, oh, are you an 80-year-old submarine World War II veteran? This is the game for you. Oh, it's too difficult for you to figure out.
I was telling you, they were running demos of it at Origins.
Really?
And I'm sitting there, I'm watching them do this, and it's like these older guys that are like war gamers.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, they're like rubbing their heads, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god. I was like, I'll never.
I don't know who it was for. I really, you like submarine enthusiasts, I guess. So whenever we were playing the game, it took us a while, and like I mentioned, I think I'm pretty sharp when it comes to games. Like I can pick up like heavy euros and get it. This one, like we were like, I think the app wasn't also like that crystal clear at the time I was playing it, but like I was like, I see how that this game can be good. Like I see how each person is unique and needed. Kind of like basically it was like a super advanced Captain Sonar.
Right.
But I was like, look, I'll play Captain Sonar. Like I'm not gonna go out of my way, because this is one of those games that you would have to. Oh, same group, same roles, hitting the table all the time. We got it. I don't do that.
Right.
Like. So it was more disappointing of the sheer potential of the game. And like I said, it's not a bad game. It does what it wants to do very, very well. It's just disappointingly so complex. And I'm like, who the hell is this for? Like, oh, and the insert? Fuck this company for that shitty-ass insert. It was like a piece of paper that they put like and taped in the middle. And, oh man, it was bad. Actually, no, there wasn't an insert. That was the thing. It was just stuff in a box. Like I'm like it was bad.
I remember you.
And a lot of people I think were like, they got some of their components were destroyed just because it was haphazardly. They didn't even like bundle stuff together. It was pretty bad. So that's my number 3, U-Boot.
My number 3 was a game that I would play it again, but it's on this list because of the randomness causing issues every now and again.
Okay.
We play it here.
I bet I know what it is.
Yeah, Rest Arcana.
That bums me out.
And like I said, I think if we home ruled a drafting system,
I wouldn't even say drafting, more just like the
Or
here's
whatever.
10 cards, pick 8.
well, right, yeah, or some sort of home rule, but it going by the basic rules, and there being that potential of having dead cards and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
only having a deck of 8, that's why it's on this list.
Yeah.
I like card games, and I like the theme of that, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And I just think it needs, and you're having more cards with the expansion. I don't know if that's
If that's gonna be like
if it's just
rectified.
more, or
Yeah.
if it's fixing stuff, or what. But yeah, it just hits that because you just get dealt the 8 cards and you deal with them. So I mean, there's a chance. Well, like you had a pretty good engine.
I had a
with
pretty good
yours. I
engine.
had that one thing, but it took me
The Alchemist.
many tons of
Yeah.
turns to get it to fire.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that potential that somebody's going to get a really good symbiotic group of 8 cards, and then somebody's not, and it could have just as easily happened to you.
Right,
game,
right.
that too, and it's,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. Because basically, your thing was you had like dragon cards, but no dragons to use them for.
Right.
And you're right. I think that is one of those things that you could easily just be like, hey, instead of just getting 8 and look through, because I think that's the brilliance of the game is the 8 cards. You kind of do an engine with that. But you're right. I think it wouldn't break the game or anything. It's like, hey, here's 10, pick 8.
Right.
There you go.
And it's on this list just going by the rulebook rules. Like if we were talking house rules, it probably wouldn't be on this list because it would take away that. Because there's not that many dragon cards in the game. I mean, if you get 10 cards, you're going to be able to whittle out and see what's going to work and stuff. That's why it's on here, just because, and people talk so highly of it.
Yeah, I mean,
about and stuff,
like I had mentioned, it was a contender for top 10.
Right.
I think it's a really, really good game. The only thing for me that was missing was I want more locations and things. I just wanted more content.
Right.
But I played the game multiple times. I've never had that problem, but I saw it happen to you, and I'm like, yeah, that does kind of suck. So I think it's such a low risk though, but the fact that it can happen is annoying. So I agree with you there. My number 2 is a game that I had very high expectations for, but ultimately fell flat, and that is Journeys in Middle-earth. The Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. Yeah. We kind of talked about it for your top 10. I didn't play it solo. I played it with 2, and it was just none of us felt like we felt like we were doing fine, but none of us felt like we were growing characters quick enough. Like the campaign was very, very slow. I thought the writing was kind of bad too. But like you mentioned, you were talking about the Resident Evil 2 game and how if you're a fan of Resident Evil, like the game is fine, but like Resident Evil kind of amplifies it. This one, I'm such a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and it still didn't amplify it. That's why it was so disappointing. Because, yeah, you can play as who they have. They didn't have, like, the main 3. They had Bilbo.
Legolas was...
Yeah, they did, like... I played Legolas, and then they had, like, I think...
They had a female...
Yeah, female elf. She was, like, a support, like a bard, almost.
And they had a ranger guy.
And so, like... I mean, that was kind of neat, but I never, like, felt like I was Legolas. Like, I never, like... It's like with Mansions, it's like, I mean, well, those characters don't even exist, but these characters have been amplified in the books and the movies. Like, it was just, I felt like I was more going through the motions than anything, like, really invested in the story. It just didn't grab me, but that app is really good. Like it makes me excited for the future of Fantasy Flight app-driven games. But, yeah, like I said, like, this is not a bad game, like, for intense, like, for purposes of mechanics and things like that. I know a lot of people really liked it. But it just, I could not get engrossed in it, so that's why it was more disappointing than anything.
Yeah. My number 2, I've only played once. It's this far down on the list, and a combination because of the gameplay I had plus the overall hype this game had coming out. And not living up to the hype by a lot of people.
Okay.
You probably know what I'm talking about. It's kind of the most hyped game this year.
If I had to guess, I didn't even know you played it.
Yep.
So
you're talking about Tapestry?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know you played it.
Yeah, I played it at a gift exchange thing a couple weeks ago.
Okay, good deal.
I put it on there. I mean, you would have
Sorry.
No, you're good.
God, that freaked me out. Like, God damn it. Oh, wow. Surprise. It's Zelda.
They heard me trashing Tapestry, and it's what's his name here?
Jamie Stegmaier.
Yeah, Stegmaier's knocking on the door.
What the fuck you say? It's like, he just drags me out. I'm not even doing it. That's funny.
Again, it's on this list. I will play it.
Sure.
But God, with the amount of juice this thing had coming,
like, I'm pretty sure everyone's copy has like a hole in it because they just fucked the game. Like, this game is so good.
And I honestly think the people that think it's like one of the best of the year, I think are just
they probably played one game.
Well, that or they just are so enamored with Stonemaier stuff.
I guess
that,
And here's the thing, like, Stonemaier is one of my favorite companies. They make good games.
It's kind of a civ building game. Yeah,
so can I talk about my number one?
Is it
Yeah.
Is it that? Yeah. I wondered if it was going to be on there. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was like, because we can kind of collab a little bit. So my number one, I was going to have you guess, but yeah, my number one is Tapestry as the most disappointing game of all time because of the hype, because of the company, and I think this game was astronomically boring. And quick caveat, like I have to make an apology, and I need to sit down and do it because I had mentioned in my discussion for the game that I thought other reviewers had got paid to review it. That is incorrect. They did not. To my knowledge, they might have been like under the table, but I felt like I saw some like this paid promotion or something like that. Couldn't find it, so that's my bad. But ultimately, that shouldn't have. That doesn't. I don't give a fuck about that. Tapestry was such. I mean, it was fine. Like what killed it was the civilization game. Mm-hmm. Like that's what made it so hyped up because you're like, oh hell yeah. But there's no like semblance of a Civ game.
Right. Well, the components just make it
like
like all the building.
The building stuff. That's what made it like. That's what made it nice. But at the same time, it was like, here's the thing. Someone commented on the discussion. They're like, so basically, what I got is if this isn't through the ages, it's not good. It's like, well, clearly you didn't listen, you fucking ignorant piece of shit. Like those comments made me so mad. But because it's like, no, when it comes to a civilization game, you start from nothing and you grow into a civilization. You don't go from like, oh, I'm a Euphoria down to, whatever, the Bronze Age. It's like, what? Like, the leaps in logic that this game makes you have to be a civilization game. Wipe that. If they had never mentioned that it was a civ building game, it actually, like, it probably would have been a little bit better. But you're trying to make those leaps and build up your civilization by going on these tracks that I thought were kind of boring. Mm-hmm. Like, just to go, you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just, I'll do this section to go up on that. All right.
Yeah, it just was really bland. And it's weird how... the last two releases from them, Wingspan was a hit.
Yeah.
And I guess Tapestry, I'm assuming...
was a hit. I mean, everyone... But
as far as sales
once
stuff,
again, same with Wingspan, no one's talking about it.
Right, but it's like, these things like Tapestry, nobody knew anything about this game, and then all of a sudden, bam, pre-order's up, bam, it's released.
Yeah.
It's like, where did it come from?
That's true. That's true.
Like,
it was like a rough draft.
It just came from nowhere, and usually games have a little more... Mm-hmm. But then it came from out of the blue, and then the hype was so crazy. Like, every single YouTube reviewer that I watched was like, immediately, bam, had these copies out, which is, it's good promotion. Sure. That's what you do when you're releasing a game. But of those people that did the early reviews, there wasn't anything negative being said at all.
Exactly.
And I think that's where a lot of the stuff comes from. It's like okay, nobody thought this was a
right. The only honest one was Tom Vassell.
Right.
Like, he's the only one that was like oh yeah, it was okay. Like, because that's one thing I will say that I like about Dice Tower is he doesn't follow the hype. Like, I don't think this made his top 10.
No, I don't think so.
And, like, he was like, yeah, it was hyped up. Because whenever he was talking about, like, his thing, and it was like, he's like, yeah, this game was super hyped. I was like, oh, please don't be Tapestry. And it would end up being Wingspan. But, yeah, like I said, this game is not terrible. Functionally, it works fine. it's just, and whenever we did the discussion, one of my friends rated it higher because his semblance of cards happened to actually resemble a civilization like growing, and like ours like was all over the place. Like this game was so boring. I also think it's unbalanced. I think powers there were clearly some better than others. It's almost like leaps in like Cosmic Encounter, where it's like, what the fuck?
There was something I think I remember hearing something on one of my podcasts that he did a
restructuring
structure to make things powered.
Yep. You can kind of scale it, and it's like maybe you should have.
Yeah.
Like I said, Stonemaier Games. I love a lot of their stuff, and this one just fell so flat. And I don't really think I kind of fell into the hype. Like I pre-ordered it as soon as I could, but I'd do that for any Stonemaier game. But yeah. So sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder but I was like, yours is second up to my number one, so might as well.
I knew you had done your discussion over it and stuff. So.
Yeah. So
no, that's perfect.
It just, man, this one was really disappointing, and this was actually the reason why I wanted to make the disappointing list, because I'm like, I can't put this on worst.
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be on your worst. That's why I kind of figured it was going to.
Yeah.
This one.
So that was my number one, Tapestry.
Yeah. You want to do your two now? Since I just did
my number two was Journeys of Middle-earth.
Oh, never mind.
So
you went first.
Yeah.
Right,
so we're talking about your number
again.
Yep.
My number one most disappointing game was a Kickstarter I wanted to back. I'm glad I didn't back it because they were really, really late delivering it. And then, I don't know, it just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. It's based on an IP of an old computer game, a turn-based game that I played back in the early 90s called Jagged Alliance.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, wait, I think I remember you talking about it.
It was on my anticipated
Your anticipated,
list
that's right. And I was like... Okay, man. Okay, boomer. No, I'm kidding. I'm like, fucking A.
I'm not quite a boomer.
I know. I'm kidding, but I was like...
But no, what Jagged Alliance was back in the day is it was one of those turn-based, action point where you'd move these hexes and then you'd spend that many points and then to use your gun, it would take this many points. It was just kind of that stuff. But what it was, the whole theme of Jagged Alliance is you were this mercenary group and you were in a jungle and you would go and be put on missions.
That's right.
And you'd go and take out things, sneak in, do whatever. So when they announced the board game, I'm like, holy shit. I was like, Jagged Alliance, the board game, that's going to be awesome. Yeah. The art looked sweet, and all this stuff. And then as I was following, after I backed out, I was following the deal, and it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. Well, a friend of mine kept his pledge.
Okay.
I decided to play it a month or so ago. And it just wasn't.
Just didn't quite hit like you remembered. Now, was it like
it didn't do a good job of just...
Oh, okay.
I mean, it didn't feel like the game.
That was gonna be my question. Was it like just like the video game that you're like, wow, this actually isn't that good?
Well, no. Like I would have loved it if it had you have 4 actions and you can take. One at and you can move the stuff and everything. But it was just more or less almost like a cheap Simon game. Like it came out because the miniatures weren't very good.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Here's the thing is probably and I've never played this game. Yeah. I've never played it. I have no idea what you're talking about. But whenever it comes to Kickstarter, that probably would have been a decent Kickstarter 5-6 years ago, most likely. Right. But now when Kickstarter games are coming out, you're like, okay, this is top tier. So it's like now. Is it just a piss poor 2019 Kickstarter game, or is it it's just still damn?
It shows its age, and I don't know if they were trying to make it feel old.
Oh,
but I mean it was. I mean, it's here's if you look, that's kind of like a mission on the outdoor mission, and it's they're just kind of basic.
Sure.
They look like plastic army guys.
They kind of do,
in a way and stuff. And
Jagged Alliance.
It's
that's an 8.6.
Yeah, I don't see
from 129 ratings. Okay, so those are probably all 10s from people who were like,
right,
like you, like, oh my god, Jagged Alliance, and they never played it.
I'm glad. It's one I'm glad I avoided. And, and like I said, I'll play those kind of games because it's fun when you play. Because you could play it solo, you can play it with others, but it just wasn't as good as I was expecting it could have been.
Sure.
If it would have been picked up by a bit, because I think this is the company's only game they've ever put out too.
Yeah. And the only game they
so
ever
like
will
if it was somebody,
Steve
somebody that's good at doing video game IPs.
Yeah, that's true.
Might have done a better job or whatever, but
okay,
it was worth a shot.
Yeah. All right. So those are our top 5 disappointing games of 2019. Like we mentioned, 2019 was a stellar year. Not every game can be amazing, but once again, these games aren't bad. And they just didn't live up to either the hype, just missed out on, just wasn't for us. So let us know what your disappointing games of the year are in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.